let's talk about arguably the most complex, most important relationship of the 21st century, the one between the United States and China. It's this incredible dance of competition and, believe it or not, deep interconnection. But to really get a handle on where things are headed, you've got to look inside each country at their own unique plans. So let's dive in. So, how do we even begin to unpack this? Well, we're going to start from the inside out. We're asking one big question here. What happens when one country's domestic game plan starts to completely reshake its relationship with the world's #1 power? The answer to that, well, it explains almost every headline you see. And that brings us right here to what you could call the source code for this whole situation, China's latest government work report. Seriously, think of this as the country's official master plan. It's the blueprint laying out all of its priorities at home. And it's deep inside this playbook where you find the real reasons for all the friction we're seeing on the world stage. And what's amazing is how clear China's plan is. It really boils down to 5 main pillars. They want stable growth. They're going all in on tech innovation. They need to boost their own domestic demand, manage some serious financial risks, and they want to lead the world in green development. This is not just a wish list, folks. This is a state-directed mission. Now, if there's one key phrase that pops up all over this report, it's high-quality development. And this is a huge deal. For decades, China was all about growth, 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 at pretty much any cost. Now, the whole game has shifted. They're focused on smarter growth, more efficient, more sustainable, and driven by new ideas. It's all about building a more resilient, self-sufficient economy where the quality of the growth is what really matters, not just the raw numbers. Let's break that strategy down into 3 pretty simple steps. First up, they have to ensure stability. That means getting a real handle on their debt problems, especially in real estate. Second, they need to boost the economy from the inside by growing their middle class and getting people to spend more. And third, and this is the big one, drive innovation like crazy so they can become the world leader in all the key technologies of the future. But here's the thing. These internal goals, they don't happen in a bubble. As China starts to execute this playbook, it inevitably starts bumping up against the rest of the world. And the first, and maybe biggest point of collision? Trade. And this quote right here, pulled straight from that government report, it just says it all. I mean, they're not being subtle about it. It is a crystal clear declaration of intent. Upgrade China's industries to put them at the very center of global manufacturing, and at the exact same time, cut their reliance on anyone else's technology. So you can probably see where this is going, right? This ambition leads straight into a massive clash of economic models. On one side, you've got China's goal of industrial upgrading, which often means pouring support into its huge state-owned companies. And on the other side, you have the US reaction, which famously kicked off with the 2018 trade war, slapping on tariffs and accusing China of all sorts of unfair trade practices. And if you're wondering why this all feels like it's been simmering for a while, well, look at this number. The U.S. trade deficit with China was already over $350 billion way back in 2006. When you have an imbalance that massive for that long, it's bound to become a political flashpoint. It basically set the stage for the conflict we're all watching today. But the fight over trade, it really just pulled back the curtain on something much, much bigger. It revealed that the real battle wasn't just about who makes what, but who invents what. This is the race for tech supremacy. You could almost call it a new kind of Cold War, one that's fought with semiconductors and algorithms instead of missiles. And you don't have to take my word for it. China's own playbook confirms it. The report says flat out that technological self-reliance is a key strategic priority. For Beijing, this goes way beyond economics. This is a fundamental issue of national security and really national independence. So what does this battle actually look like on the ground? Well, on the one hand, you see China pouring unbelievable resources into becoming self-sufficient in things like advanced computer chips and artificial intelligence. And on the other hand, the US is playing offense, using things like export controls to try and deny China access to those key technologies, while at the same time boosting its own industry with laws like the CHIPS Act. Now, from Washington's perspective, this isn't just business competition. It's a matter of national security. The U.S. points to what it says is a long history of economic espionage, theft of sensitive military technology, and cyber attacks. All of these are seen as attempts to get an unfair leg up and to modernize China's military, and that's what's driving this huge push to separate or decouple the two countries' tech sectors. Okay, so how did we get here? Because none of this just happened overnight. To really get what's happening right now, we have to take a quick look back. This relationship has gone through some really dramatic changes, basically moving from handshakes to headwinds in the span of just 50 years. This timeline really shows the incredible arc of the story. Back in 1972, you have Nixon's visit, which just cracks the door open. Fast forward to 2001, China joins the World Trade Organization, a move that completely supercharged the global economy. But then, in 2018, that whole era of engagement just shifts on a dime with the start of the trade war. And today, the relationship is pretty much defined by one thing: strategic competition, and it is escalating. So what was the fundamental shift? Well, at the end of the day, it's actually pretty simple. For decades, the US and China had a common enemy, the Soviet Union, and that pushed them together. But once the Cold War ended, that logic just evaporated. The glue that held them together was gone. And a relationship that was once built on a kind of cautious cooperation has totally transformed into one of direct head-to-head competition. Okay, so why does any of this high-level stuff matter to the rest of us? Because the friction between these two giants doesn't just stay between them. It sends out these massive ripple effects across the entire globe, and it impacts everything from the price of gas to the phone in your pocket. So what are those ripple effects, really? Well, for one, global supply chains are being totally redrawn as companies try not to get caught in the middle. The tech race is speeding up innovation in things like AI, but it's also creating a kind of digital divide. China's big push into green tech is opening up huge new opportunities. But for most countries, it just means a more unstable and unpredictable world. And this quote from the scholar Michael Swain just perfectly captures the change in mood. The optimism that defined the relationship for so long has been replaced by what he calls pessimism, hostility, and a zero-sum mindset. The basic assumption is no longer about finding a win-win. It's now a struggle where one side's gain is seen as the other side's loss. Which leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? Both sides, the US and China, they keep saying they want competition, not conflict. But as the trade wars drag on, and the tech restrictions get tighter, and the geopolitical tensions just keep growing, that line between competition and conflict starts to look dangerously thin. The path this relationship takes from here won't just define the two of them. It's going to define the world that all of us live in.